What will happen if our rivers dry up? Hi, my name is Morrison, and this is the question I will be looking at for this project. I live in a rural town on the Lachlan River in New South Wales, where I am surrounded by farms and national reserves. The rising levels of salinity in the Lachlan River are destroying native vegetation and decreasing biodiversity. Why is this? Well, the past 200 years have seen a dramatic change to the environment with the settlement of the Europeans and the introduction of crop and livestock farming and irrigation methods that were previously unseen in this country. Combine these with the vast areas of land that have been cleared, and the result is the rising salinity levels of the regional waterways and associated tablelands. These practices are clearly unsustainable for a healthy environment. Ignoring this will result in a detrimental effect to native vegetation and biodiversity. If no action is taken to curb and indeed reverse the effect of rising salinity levels, then current and future generations will begin to see an irreversible change in the environment. To begin this project, I had to define suitable keywords with which to use to source reputable resources using the search engine Google. The keywords I chose were salinity, effect, Lachlan River, farming, irrigation, biodiversity, and vegetation. I found lots of government websites and documents which provided plenty of information, but I was finding it hard to find independent, peer-reviewed scientific journals and publications. I then filtered my results to only include these and was able to use Code and Library to access journal articles which matched my needs. This gave me a broad selection of documents to use to define my research questions and answer them. So firstly, what is salinity and how is it measured? Well, salinity is basically the amounts of salt found in water or soil. Natural distribution of salt is termed as primary salinity, salt that is deposited over thousands of years by natural processes such as weathering of rocks or rain deposits. Secondary salinity is where human involvement is at play. Salinity is measured through soil samples, groundwater samples, as well as water analysis. Groundwater discharge is also measured, as this contributes to salinity levels. So what are the current farming and irrigation methods that are causing rising salinity levels? Well, land clearing over the past 150 years is one of the major contributors to rising salinity levels. Crops that have shallow root structures and shorter growth cycles need less water, which affects groundwater movement and salt levels. Irrigation that uses water sourced from salty rivers or groundwater compounds the problem. This doesn't have to be happening close to rivers. Catchment areas are huge and cover much dry land. However, over time, the runoff from these catchment areas affects rivers such as the Lachlan. The next question focuses on the effect of rising salinity levels on native vegetation and biodiversity. Quite simply, when salinity levels are too high, native vegetation becomes unhealthy and usually dies. If plants do grow in their place, these are salt-resistant species. This then leads to a loss in biodiversity and possibly altering ecosystems. Another effect is erosion. Erosion can in turn increase sediment in rivers. All of these effects contribute to altered ecosystems and therefore the plant and animal species they support. I would like to do more research on specific plants and animals that are under threat. Action is needed to curb and potentially reverse these effects. Essentially, all research points to stopping land clearing, more responsible land management from farmers and industry, and rehabilitation of floodplains. An example of a simple change for farming is using deep-rooted perennial grasses for year-round pastures. This project aligns with the Australian Science Curriculum for Year 4 Science strands of Science Understanding and Science as Human Endeavour. By studying the effects of salinity levels, it becomes clear that living things depend on each other and the environment to survive. This connects with the concept that science involves making predictions and describing patterns and relationships. Thank you for listening.